Boushall Middle School in Richmond, Virginia is struggling. The new principal, Parke Land, has a lot to fix.
We're missing shades. We're missing a clock. It's ugly. That's a statement to a kid that speaks volumes.
Land would get the clock fixed in time for opening day, but there was little he could do to soften the message at the front door.
I don't like the fact that the first thing a kid does when he walks in the building is have to go through a metal detector. One of my personal goals is that we won't have to do that for very much longer. Good morning. Good morning, everybody. How you doing?
On opening day, Parke Land kicked off what he hopes will be a year of major change and improvement for the 735 students at Boushall. Right now, his new school is on a state warning list, put there by a nearly 50% failure rate in reading. It's a school that's gone through 3 principals in 7 years, where last year alone, staff issued some 2,500 infractions for student misconduct. And yet to come here, Parke Land gave up a prized position in the affluent suburbs, left a school he'd led for 9 years, even took a cut in pay, all for a chance to change Boushall.
Good morning. Good morning. I truly believe, I take this serious, I truly believe that if we don't solve the problems of inner city schools, our democracy is going to suffer.
The path that brought Land from the suburbs to the inner city began here at the Darden School of Business at the University of Virginia.
So see if you can capture in a single sentence what the core key message of the story is.
In early summer, Land joined an elite group of principals, participants in a state program that gave them 9 days of training and sent them to take over failing schools. The newest, hottest idea in education, it's happening in many states. Borrowing from business, they call these principals turnaround specialists.
I have been able to create a kind of an expectation in the schools I've worked in that improvement is the norm, change is the norm.
Parke Land brings the best of intentions and 31 years of experience to his new school, where 3 in 4 students live in poverty and nearly all are African American. Can he take what worked for him in the suburbs and make it work at Boushall? He has a year to find out.
Good morning. How are you?
Day 1 began with greetings for students.
Good morning. How are you?
Fine.
What's your name?
Lawrence.
Lawrence, I'm Mr. Land, Lawrence. Visibility is so important. Kids have got to see that the principal will come up to me. It will be a part of my world and will ask questions and will show interest. What's your name?
Ernest.
Ernest. What I wanted to get across today to kids is that this is a real caring environment and it's a helping environment.
Bells off, fellas, take your belts off.
But at the front door, Land's message collided with the realities of an urban school.
Is there anybody that can go to the front door right now and start to hold people as they come in? I was not prepared for the pandemonium at that entry area, and it's all due to the fact that we have to get all those kids through the metal detector. I just wasn't used to that. I wasn't prepared for that.
Land spent most of his first day visiting classes.
I just stopped him in and say hello. This is a real high-stress day, and being on the hall is real important. Hello, y'all. Staff and teachers, they need to know that there's an investment. And one way you show them that is you're there. You're there with them. Just go ahead, you're working hard. Keep at it.
Teachers spent much of their day reading the rules.
That's real typical of first day.
All right. Number 2, what does it say?
Follow directions.
Follow directions.
No talking.
It establishes with these kids a feeling of stability.
We're not going to be eating sunflower seeds.
And if they're hearing it pretty consistently from one class to another, that increases their feeling of stability.
But despite the talk about rules, kids were all over the hallways.
You're going back to class. Go. Some folks are sending kids out of class without passes. And I'm thinking, what's the rationale behind that? What are you thinking?
Land sent them back to class and told teachers it was unacceptable.
So much of misbehavior is a result of teachers just being poorly planned. I am trying to get across in everything I do that the teacher is accountable. The teacher is accountable for every kid who is out in the hall, for every kid asleep in our class, all those things. I don't let kids sleep.
No.
Sorry, I'll come in and wake them up.
But I already have phone.
Ms. Miltier, do you know the class number, room number?
By mid-morning, Land was feeling good about his opening day.
235, go to your right. Everything went pretty well, I thought. Yeah, pretty well. Pretty good opening. Yeah, pretty good opening.
But by the time he returned to his office 10 minutes later, a situation had developed that would put him to the test.
We have a student who basically is refusing to go to class. I have to say, in all of my years, I've never had this happen where a student refused to go into a class. Just refused.
Land called the student's mother in for a meeting.
So he came to us 7th grade, and this would be his second year.
This will be his second year.
What's keeping you from going in there?
Since coming here a year ago, the student has had trouble fitting in. His mother recalled what the school psychologist told her.
They said he had some emotional problems. He wouldn't really talk to anyone. He wouldn't relate to anyone like the other children were.
Like this young man, nearly 1/4 of the students in Land's new school are in special education. That's 2.5 times the national average. Misidentification of students, especially black males, is a national problem.
Are we part of that? I don't know. I don't want to latch on too quickly to how Boushall finds itself where it is right now. But if we're over-identifying black males, it's not right.
Go ahead and do what he
Land knew Boushall's special education numbers were high, but did this student belong in special ed? Land had some information about his problems last year.
His history is one of being absent a lot, and when he is here at school, fading into the little nooks and crannies of the school.
All he does is walk the halls, I guess, and sit in the office, because I'm called up here quite often.
It reached the point that last year they had homeschooling. In other words, they delivered the educational services at his home.
What are the consequences? First, we'll have a verbal warning.
This is the class the young man walked out of last year and now refuses to enter. It's for students the school considers emotionally disturbed.
Raise up, baby. You know how that works. Chris, turn around.
Angela Wheeler is one of 2 teachers assigned here.
Academically, they're okay, but it's more behavior. They'll go off whenever. Verbal assaults, walking out of the classroom, flipping desks, throwing chairs.
If he feels like the kids don't behave, and he doesn't want to be a part of that.
What the young man and his mother want is for him to be placed in a regular class.
He hasn't been doing absolutely anything, and I don't want that to continue for another year.
The question for Land, could a student who appeared so withdrawn make it in a regular class?
As I look at it, we have a range of options, from taking him out completely to starting his day in the class and moving out for a lot of his day. What I don't want is to get into a struggling match with putting him in right now. Nobody wins in that.
Land asked for time to review the young man's private records and to consult with school psychologists and others familiar with the student's case.
Okay.
Days later, he told mother and son the school's recommendation. He belonged in the special class.
He failed in a regular class. He failed miserably. His track record was of real concern to staff that had dealt with him over the course of those years, staff that I really respect. The consensus was pretty clear that this is the best environment for him.
What did he do when you told him that?
He literally put his head down on his arm and stared at the floor for the next 10, 15 minutes. What may appear as heartless on the outside is really almost an act of tough love. It's how are we going to move this kid closer to a sense of independence where he can be independent. Right now, he just can't be independent.
Reluctantly, the young man returned to the class, although he soon walked out again. At last report, he was settling in. As for Principal Parke Land, his first week on the job gave him a taste of just how challenging an inner-city school can be. And he's just getting started.
Get off my shirt!